Thank you everyone for joining us for our webinar. This one is kind of a special edition because we're actually going to be debuting a new Fishbowl product, Document Assembly. My name is Sabrina. I'm an account manager here at Fishbowl. I'm lucky today to be joined by my colleague and fellow account manager, Chris Delzer. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Sabrina.
And we also have Sean Deal, who is actually one of the developers on the product. Hi, Sean.
Hello.
So before I get into our agenda for today, I just have a couple of quick housekeeping items. So we will go through a quick overview of Fishbowl for anyone who's joining us for the first time. We'll talk about the challenges that we've seen around manual creation in WebCenter and ultimately why we created Document Assembly. We'll do a quick comparison of assembled document creation using Folios before diving into the Document Assembly. And then Sean will be taking over to give us all a demo. Finally, we will wrap up and take any questions that come up throughout. So first, I'd like to extend a special thank you to those of you who are joining us for the first time. Fishbowl Solutions is a long-standing Oracle partner with 21 years of experience with Oracle WebCenter content and portal. Our goal is to help customers solve their costly and frustrating knowledge-sharing problems. Through our experience and expertise with these core Oracle products, we help organizations better manage, retain, and distribute content through enhanced desktop and mobile experience. We also help organizations leverage Oracle's Content and Experience Cloud, focusing on developing omni-channel experiences for their digital content. Most recently, we've been developing digital assistants or chatbots for customer and employee self-service, as well as mobile applications using Oracle's mobile cloud platform. And to help you find all of that high-value content, we provide enterprise search software and services for both on-premise and cloud-based use cases leveraging Mindbreeze and Google Cloud. So let's talk about some of the challenges that our customers have experienced when trying to create assembled documents. For years, manufacturing, construction, and food services customers have relied on WebCenter content to manage the life cycles of the content used to document and drive critical business processes. Processes like change management, accident response, and even specific work instructions rely on accurate and easily available documentation. With each of these processes, there are many sub-processes or specific procedures that are a part of the master document or manual. These procedures or supporting documents are typically created as individual documents and stored and managed in WebCenter individually. So to give an example, if an organization wants to create and reference one master document for their accident response plan, they have to find all the documents supporting the process and copy and paste their contents into a separate master document. This process is prone to errors and could take a considerable amount of time. And during that time, when an accident could occur and the organization would not have their master document to reference. This could lead to fines, employee injuries, and even lost customer relationships. And even after the user has copied the individual documents, pasted them in order in the master document, and checked this new master document into WebCenter, the document could already be outdated because the individual documents used to create the new master document may get checked out, revised, and checked back in. Such revisions would not be reflected in the new master document. Furthermore, lines of business, including manufacturing, product development, or product management and operations, need professional-looking manuals that adequately represent the company's brand. Such manuals may be shared with external parties, so they need to include standard components like cover pages with logos and a table of contents. WebCenter out of the box does not offer a systematic way to include such components for a manual that will be stored and managed in WebCenter. So let's look at what a manual-based process in WebCenter would look like if you were to create an employee handbook. This is an example that hits close to home for us at Fishbowl, as we strive to have a high-quality handbook with all necessary information updated before a new employee's first day. So first, a user is going to search for content items in WebCenter that will be part of the handbook. This could be email policies, benefit information, background check information, vacation policies, etc. For any content item they want to be included, they download a version of that item. The user would then go into Acrobat and select those files to be included in a single PDF. To include a table of contents, the user would have to manually create one. So they would insert a blank page and type out all the sections or topics to be included. The most painstaking part of this for anyone that has used Adobe is using the text tools for this typing and then highlighting that text to link to a section of the PDF. This takes a lot of time. And if you make it this far without getting frustrated and want to include that cover page marketing suggested, you would have to manually create this by again inserting a blank page, using the text tool to include text, and inserting an image. Finally, you would combine the files to create your single PDF of the handbook and check that handbook into WebCenter content. And that was a simplified version of the process. In most cases, organizations are going to have dozens of different documents to include in such a handbook, and that would just compound the time to find them in WebCenter, download them, add them to Adobe, create a table of contents, and so on. This process could take multiple hours, and keep in mind that if one document that now comprises this manual gets checked out, revised, and checked back in during that time, the whole process that we just discussed starts over. So some of you may be thinking, what about WebCenter content folios? Most of you probably know that Oracle WebCenter features an optional component called content folios. When enabled, they provide a quick way to assemble, track, and access logical groupings of multiple content items. They can be useful in providing users with a visual representation or hierarchic structure of items existing in WebCenter content. One of the features of Folios is the ability to download all items into a PDF. This could be useful, for example, if the contents in the Folios were brochures, images, logos, or advertisement copy needed to be downloaded and then sent to print. While this feature enables all the contents in the Folio to be made into one PDF, it does not feature more granular controls for version control. For example, if someone forgets to lock the Folio, its contents can be easily edited, with changes to associated items not being reflected back into the Folio. It also does not allow for the creation of other components that users would expect a manual to contain. Such features such as the ability to systematically, instead of manually, add a cover page, and adding images such as a company logo to the cover page and footer sections, as well as a table of contents. These elements would all have to be manually added as additional items to the Folio in a process like the one discussed previously. These frustrations ultimately led Fishbowl to create document assembly, and I will toss the mic over to Chris for an overview.
Thanks, Sabrina. Fishbowl's document assembly for Oracle WebCenter makes it easy for WebCenter users to assemble various documents to create a single master document. By exposing new menus and metadata forms in WebCenter, users can easily search, select, order, and assemble the contents of a master document in a matter of minutes. Once created, the software solution ensures document integrity and version control by checking out the master document when changes are being made, items are added, deleted, etc. Additionally, if individual documents are checked out and then back in, Fishbowl's document assembly triggers a republish of the master document. With this solution, WebCenter customers will save time in creating master documents or manuals, as well as ensure the contents of such documents are managed as individual items instead of having to manage or revise multiple content items that would make up a master document. With Fishbowl's document assembly, we focus the features on leveraging WebCenter's inherent check-in profiles, search, and metadata forms, so it is a familiar and easy process for customers to create a manual or master document. This includes repurpose content to make master documents. There isn't a need to start from scratch creating your master documents or manuals, or rely on error-prone copy and paste actions. Instead, assemble all relevant documents existing in your WebCenter system to create one master document in just a few steps. One click to view master assembled documents. Permissions-based icons appear next to content items in a WebCenter search results list, denoting them as assembled documents. Manage and control single master documents instead of multiple related documents. Once assembled, users can focus on revising or updating a single master document instead of having to keep track of and update multiple documents that may support a process or procedure. Since a master document or manual is regenerated whenever new versions of the content items within the manual are released, they will always reflect the most recent versions of the member document. Customers can use document assembly with Oracle WebCenter 11G or 12C, as well as with Fishbowl's ControlCenter product. And for those of you unfamiliar with ControlCenter, that is our control document management system built on top of WebCenter that exposes a new mobile-ready interface with more purpose-built capabilities to manage documents such as policies and procedures, standard operating procedures, work instructions, and more. Here we want to show how document assembly's capabilities get exposed with Oracle WebCenter and ControlCenter. The first comparison is how an assembled document is exposed to the user through each interface. In WebCenter, a permissions-based icon is included on the search results list, while in ControlCenter, it would appear on the dashboard under latest releases and can be browsed to from the left navigation. In terms of the view to see the list of all the content items making up the assembled document or manual, you will see the very familiar WebCenter interface on the left and ControlCenter on the right. Lastly, the content info page comparison. I just wanted to show you this comparison to give you an idea of how we feel ControlCenter is more of a purpose-built solution to create and manage manuals throughout their life cycle. In fact, one of our largest customers who began using ControlCenter to manage all their project management-related documents for construction projects came to us with a request for a simpler method to create manuals in ControlCenter. So how does it work? Quite simply, once installed as a WebCenter component, document assembly can expose a new check-in profile for manual. A check-in metadata form appears. Typically, the first step is for the users to search for content items in WebCenter that will comprise the manual. A list of content items matching the search will appear, and the user determines which items to add to the manual. Sean will show you in the demo that you can click on individual items to add or select all items. Once the items are added, you are returned back to the new check-in screen, at which point the user can add through checkboxes, a cover page, and table of contents. Notice here you can also move content items around from top to bottom and vice versa. Other metadata can be filled in for department, review, date, etc. The user then checks in the manual. Once checked in, the user can view the contents of the manual within a separate window. From here, the user can reorder items, remove them, and change indents, which would change the layout and structure of those items in the table of contents. This is basically where you determine section and subsections of the manual. And then lastly, you can view the manual itself as one large PDF. Notice the Fishbowl logo is used as an image to appear on the cover page and in the footer. Sean will show how to do that in the demo. Also notice the table of contents that was created. Each item in that table of contents is clickable, and once clicked will take you to the section or topic of the manual. As I've shown you with the document assembly and in comparison to the process that Sabrina walked you through to create manuals, you will see there aren't as many steps, you never have to leave WebCenter, and the creation of the table of contents and the cover page are done systematically. Now let's move on to a demonstration. I'll be turning it over to Sean, one of the lead developers for document assembly. He will show you the process to create, control, and administer manuals in WebCenter, as well as Fishbowl's ControlCenter.
Thanks, Chris. Hello, everybody. So here I am in WebCenter on the standard homepage, and I want to make a new manual. This manual profile is set up with the component to be an assembled document. And as you can see, the place where you normally would have the primary file and alternate file has been replaced with these settings for creating an assembled document. If I click the select button, it brings up a search dialog. This is the same standard search that you're probably used to in WebCenter. So I can search for anything I want. Hit search, and that will bring back my results. From here, you can select individual documents or go up here and click select all to select everything. Still deselect stuff if you want, and then click add selected. That will add everything that was selected to the list of items to be included in the manual. From here, you can also reorder items. So if I want to move this frequently asked questions to the top, I can move that up. And I can also remove items. You also have checkboxes here to decide whether you want to include a cover page and table of contents. And from here, it's treated just like a standard item in WebCenter. So you can add whatever metadata you have configured. Like here, I'll add department region, give it a title, and then click check-in. At this point, the document assembly component goes and grabs the web viewable version of every item that I selected before and compiles them together into one PDF along with a cover page and table of contents. If I take a look at that PDF, you can see here is the cover page with the title I gave and the release date, along with two images that are configurable. I'll show the configuration page for this a bit later. You can also see the table of contents here. And like Chris mentioned, these are clickable links. So if I click on any of these, it will jump directly to that spot in the manual. If I want to make changes to the manual, there are a couple options. You can click this View Assembled Document Contents link down here, or you can go up to Content Actions, and you have a couple options here. This Republish Assembled Document action lets you instantly recreate the manual. In the case where you maybe change the title and you need to recreate the cover page to be updated, you can manually trigger a republish here. Or you can click this to go to the Assembled Document Contents page, which is what we're going to do now. So this list shows every item included in this assembled document, as well as some actions to edit the document. You can add documents to this list link over here. I'm going to add an overview item, just like the same search dialog from before. Add documents in the same way. And you can see now that I've made changes to this assembled document, it has automatically put the assembled document into edit mode. This checks the document out under my name and prevents anyone else from making any changes to it while I'm editing it. Starting at the left on this table, this column lets you reorder documents just by dragging and dropping. So I want to move that overview up to the top. This column lets you change the indentation of each item within the table of contents. You can see the indentation is also displayed in the title column here to give you a preview of how it will look. On the right side here are a couple actions. The trash icon, as you can probably guess, lets you remove items from the assembled document. The eye brings you to the content info page for each individual item. So now we're on the page for the frequently asked questions item included in this manual. And you can see there's this assembled document information table. This shows all assembled documents in the system that include this individual item. You can also click over here to show old revisions as well, which could be useful to let you know if an item used to be in a manual but isn't anymore. So let's get back to our assembled documents. I'm going to do a quick search to get back to it. And you can see for manuals in this search results, there is this icon here, which will take me directly to that assembled document contents page from before. So now that I'm done making changes, I'll click Finish and Publish, and that will automatically check the document back in, and the document assembly will once again grab every item and create the manual once again. So if I go back to the content information page, you can see that a new revision has been checked in. And if I take a look at the manual now, looking at the table of contents, you can see my changes have been made. The overview has been added, and you can see the indentation in the table of contents as well. That's all there is to creating and editing assembled documents using this component. It's very simple, and you never have to leave WebCenter or download all the files and deal with all of those issues that Sabrina and Chris talked about. I'm going to quickly show the configuration for this component. through the Fishbowl tools, you can see the document assembly administration menu. And here we have a couple different pages. This assembled document configuration page lets you determine which items in the system document assembly will treat as assembled documents. So as I showed before, this manual profile brought me to those assembled document options on check-in. This page is where you configure those options. And you can also set up multiple values for your indicator field. The other configuration page is the cover page configuration. From here, you have the ability to choose content items in WebCenter for both the main image and the footer image. And clicking select brings up that same search dialog again to let you easily find the items. You also have the option to change some of the image size options as well as positioning for margins. And as one last thing, I'm going to quickly show how some of these things look within ControlCenter. So if I jump over to ControlCenter here, you can see this in this latest releases widget, the emergency response manual is right at the top here. If I click the content info page, you can see there's an assembled document contents tab. And this shows that same table that was shown on the assembled document contents page from within WebCenter. The same actions are all here: reordering, changing the indents, removing items, adding documents. All the same functionality is within ControlCenter. And I believe that will wrap it up for the demo. So I will hand it back over to Sabrina.
Thanks, Sean. Great work on the development there too. So hopefully you were able to see how document assembly is a huge value add and solves for a potentially costly and frustrating problem. To summarize, document assembly makes it easy to create professional manuals in minutes. It leverages WebCenter's familiar capabilities to search and select content items. Document assembly focuses on ensuring business groups have professional-looking manuals with elements such as a table of contents and cover pages, and images that can be included within the header and footer. Document assembly also gives more granular control on editing the manual itself with easy reordering and changing the table of contents structure. And once created, WebCenter manages the manual as one content item instead of the multiple associated items that make up the manual. This should give you peace of mind and take away some of the administrative burden of managing multiple items to create a manual. So now we have a little bit of time for questions. One of the first questions that we have, Sean, is what happens to the individual documents comprising the manual if they are checked out and edited?
So if you make changes to any of the individual documents and then check them back in, if those are part of any manual, it will automatically detect those changes and trigger a republish of the manual. So the manual will be regenerated with those new changes made, so the manual will stay up to date.
Okay, another question that we have, if a new manual gets created, can it enter a workflow first before it becomes available in WebCenter?
Yes, manuals can enter workflow. Within WebCenter, they are treated just like any other content item. So set up your criteria to put them into workflow, just like anything else.
Okay, we have another one here. Is the cover page configurable per manual, or can you configure once and save it? Same is used for all manuals on that content server.
In this first release of the product, you have one cover page that you configure, and those images and settings will be used for all manuals. We have plans for a future release to add the ability to basically create multiple templates for cover pages and then add functionality to let you choose a different cover page when you're checking in a manual.
Okay, I'm seeing one more. If you create a version 2 for a particular file that exists in multiple manuals, is it automatically updated for all manuals in which it exists? Or is there a way to choose that it only updates in certain manuals and not others?
Similarly to the question before, if a new revision is checked in, it will automatically update every manual it's included in. One way that I could see, if you want to make it so that certain manuals are not updated, you could potentially check out or put that manual you don't want updated into edit mode, and then it won't check it in. And then I believe it won't check it in when you make changes to an individual document.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like there's any more questions. So again, thank you everyone for joining. We will be following up with all registrants and attendees in the coming days. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or would like pricing information, please reach out to your account manager. We will also have another poll question here at the end. Please let us know what other Web Center topics or issues that we can address for you. And thanks for joining.